Well, hello, and welcome to the Coaching Business Spotlight Show. I'm your host, Kat Connect, and today we start a new series. This is a fall series. I think of the fall when it comes to business, there's a whole back to school, right? We think of there's a new beginning. There's also in nature, it's the time of the harvest. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, harvest time. This is the time when all of your hard work, you've been sending out ships, you've been putting out messages. This is the time to go, okay, now let's make this real. Something magical can happen in September, October, November. People are really ready for change. The year has been spinning around and they maybe haven't accomplished what they wanted to. And now they're like, who out there can help me get what I want? And that's where coaches come in. That's where you can raise your hand high and say, me. To get us started with this series, today we're going to look at the 4 stages of a coaching business. So if you know anything about me and my business, you will know this is one of my essential concepts. And I have brought Curtis, my husband and business partner, Curtis on because I want him. He's also my tech host when I want something technical. And for those of you who watch, if you're watching, in a couple of minutes, we're going to show you a slide so that you can actually see the 4 stages and get a visual concept. Everybody else, anybody, go to my website, souldrivensuccess.com. There's a quiz right on the homepage. It will help you identify your stage, and there's a download that comes after you take the quiz that will give you information about what stage you're in and what you need to do. But before I go there and before I let Curtis go, I'm going to tell a little story. So I have been having a very big health challenge since it really started about, let's say, the middle of April, when I started noticing that it was hard for me to walk and I was getting, there was something wrong. I'd hurt myself lifting a mirror at IKEA, and I had not taken care of it. I just kind of pushed through the pain, let's say, until it got to a critical point where I could no longer walk. This is where I went to the doctor. And I said to the doctor, here are my symptoms. There's something wrong with me. And the doctor gave me a diagnosis that at the time I knew was not correct. I just could tell the way she just was sure it was sciatica. And I'm like, it's not sciatica. I've looked it up. I've done my ChatGPT around it. My husband has sciatica. I know the symptoms. I know how it works. This does not have that. But that's what she diagnosed me with. That's what she got the x-ray with. That's what I went to the physical therapist who said this x-ray doesn't show what's wrong with you at all. So I went down this whole path in my healthcare, and this took weeks where I'm in pain, I can't walk, and I still don't have an accurate diagnosis. I went to my acupuncturist. She was helping me a lot. She was helping me move the energy and helping me with the pain. She couldn't quite nail it down. I went to a chiropractor who spent about an hour and a half with me, actually having me walk and pushing on my body and finding out where the pain was and listening very carefully to my symptoms. And he told me what it was. He gave me an accurate diagnosis. And then he gave me the facts to back it up, why he had diagnosed that, because of these 6 things that he had literally noticed in my body and how I moved that made it a fact that this was what was wrong with me. From that time on, I started getting the help I needed. I stopped doing some things that weren't good for me. I started doing some things, really important things like resting, that over time has meant that I can now walk again. So I tell you this story because I think it's a good analogy for what I want you to be thinking of with your coaching business, which is you first need to have a diagnosis of where you are. And I have created this training that I'm going to unpack a little bit for you today that's intended to give you that exact knowing. Oh, this is where I am. This is my diagnosis. So therefore, I can stop doing things that actually aren't going to be helpful for me and maybe even harmful, because there were a few things I was doing since I didn't have a proper diagnosis that were harmful. And that's the same in a coaching business. And you can do the things that are going to help to move you forward, and you're going to know that you're doing the right things. So right now, we are right in the middle of our 21-day challenge, Coach with Confidence. If you did miss the workshop, you can still, is the recording available? Curtis, can people still get the recording? You can still get the recording. Just reach out and ask. I'll give you the recording of it, because it was dynamite. I'm just saying it was. We really got to the heart of what builds confidence. Think about that for a moment. What builds confidence? So you actually have to be doing something. Confidence comes from you're in action and you're doing right things because you're getting the response. And that's what builds confidence. I'm curious if you have something to add to that, Curtis.
No.
About what builds confidence.
Well, in terms of what you're talking about with the 4 stages,
Yeah.
when I know where I am, when I know what I need to do because of where I am, then I'm much more trusting and confident than when I think I'm someplace and I'm doing something and it's not working.
I mean, we could. So there's so many analogies, but we want to bring this down to running a coaching business. When you know that what you're doing is the right thing, oh, the energy is so much better and so different. You're not like, oh, maybe it's this and maybe it's that. And I thought I was supposed to be doing this, but it's not working. Just causes exhaustion. It causes saboteur activity to get all riled up. And there's a discouragement, I think, that happens. Would you say, Curtis, when you're doing things that aren't actually the things that are bringing you what you're wanting?
Well, if you're in startup phase and you're doing a podcast thinking that it's going to get you clients or that it's going to grow your business, and literally it can't, because you need other things in place to grow the business, to have a sustainable business. And a podcast is much more in a sustainable to legacy stage.
We're going to unpack this in a moment, but that is a great example. Because if you're like me, I love doing my podcast. And way, way back at the beginning of my coaching career, I had a radio show. Curtis and I had a radio show, and it was fun. Oh my gosh, it was fun. And it brought in a little business. But if I had spent the time and the money and put the effort at something that was in the stage I was in, which at that point was startup, not at the end of sustainable or even in the middle, my business would have grown much faster, which is what I did learn to do. I'm going to say part of what I want to bring forward to you here is you can learn. Once you get the stages, you can look at what you're doing and rearrange your activities and effort. And actually, if you want to do a podcast, fine. Just know that if you're in startup phase, if you're in the startup stage, it is most likely not going to bring any business at all. It could be fun and you can do it. They're fun things we might want to do, but you want to be putting your time, effort, and activities towards things that are going to bring you business, grow the financial foundation so that you're making money, you have the clients, you're really building something. I know, Curtis, that you're going to have to go in a minute. So please, would you share your screen? I want to show the listeners and those of you who are watching. And if you're not watching, you can always come back and you can just pop me a message, kat@souldrivensuccess.com anytime. Or if you're in our Mighty Networks platform, or if you're in the Soul Driven Success community, you can just private chat me anytime. I will send you this diagram because I think it's really helpful. And I'm going to just go over it during the time that Curtis has, and then I'm going to let him go and we're going to talk about it some more. So we have number one, coach in training. I know many people who listen to this podcast are a coach in training, and yay on you. It's a really, really important thing to do. You master your coaching skills. You really, as a coach in training, you find out, is this for me? What's my passion here? You experiment with marketing and you exploring, how do I want this to look as a career and what's my niche? But you build credibility. So by the time you're done with training, I know how to coach people. I know how to have an impact on people, and I'm going to do this or not. Coach and training, you decide, or you kind of have some idea when you're done how you want this to look as a career. In the stage 2, this is when you choose to be in startup. And this does not matter if you're going to be an executive coach, if you're going to work for an organization, or if you're going to be an entrepreneur. There's still many of the same things you have to do in order to succeed as a coach. But this is the first one, is to think, I am in startup. So any startup business, any startup career is going to take at least 2 years. Think about any other career it takes at least 2 years to get the kind of success where you have an income that you can count on that replaces that of a job you might have had or that you might still have. So think about that. It's an important thing to think about. Often it's discouraging for people because they want to do it right away. And I'm not saying you can't make money right away. I'm not saying you can't make a good amount of money right away, but to actually get all the systems and structures in place so that you can earn the money sustainably ongoing, it will take around 2 years or more. So you want to have time and money earmarked for business development. This is something that so many coaches think they don't need. They think they should, they've trained, and now clients should just come to them, and that's all they have to do, and just think positively. You want to spend your time and money as you did on your training to get business development, to learn, to have somebody who's mentoring you and teaching you and helping you. Really, believe me, it's an important part. This is where you begin to have a brand. You start thinking about, what is my logo and what is the name of my business? And you choose, like I have, like you have colors. You start to have a presence, a clear niche, get a message. And you understand this is a long-term commitment. Big important stage. Stage 3, sustainable success after stage 2. And sometimes you'll be jumping back and forth between the two. Often you'll go to sustainable success. Now you're able to scale your business. You'll have a business model that maybe includes groups or includes something bigger or includes your own program. You'll start this in startup. So, right, in startup, you'll start maybe creating a program, dabbling in group coaching, finding out what you want to do. In sustainable, you'll have it. It'll be rolling. That will be your business model. You'll know what it is. With systems in place, working with your ideal clients, a dependable income, and ample time to operate and evolve a successful business. How good does that sound? Well, it's doable. It's like a promise I can make to you. You can have that if you put the time into startup. And then once you're in sustainable, you really put your focus again. Now you'll put your focus on the systems and actually creating a much tighter work week. I just did a training with our 21-day challenge, and we talked about how to really plan your time. You'll start that in startup, and in sustainable, you'll need a VA. You'll definitely need that kind of support and higher systems to run things. Last is legacy. And that's, most people who are listening to this podcast are not in legacy, although I do know some legacy coaches. So if that's you, yay. That's where you've done all these pieces. And now you've built an authority. You can be out on social media. You're getting attention. You have your own community. You have a podcast and people are listening to it. People are you've got those 1,000 raving fans, and you have a team of people supporting you and your business. All right. Thank you, Curtis, for sharing that screen so I could review that with the listeners. And I know that you have to scoot Thank you so much for joining us today. It's always fun to have you on the show.
Good to be here as always. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So let's dive down into the 4 stages a little deeper. And here's what I'd love to have you actually listening and thinking about the stage of business that you're in, not the stage you might want to be, or the stage you're afraid you'll never reach, or the stage you used to be in. So I'm going to start there. The coach and training stage. One of the warnings I'll put around that stage is I've found, first of all, coaches think that they can go from coach and training to sustainable success and skip startup. So that's number one. Maybe this will be a show of warnings. Number two is coaches love training so much that often they want to stay in the coach and training mode. They keep taking trainings, and I raise my hand high. This was exactly what I did. When I went through the Coactive Training Institute's training. I trained as a coactive coach. I got my certification. And then I loved it so much, I got another training. And I loved it so much, I got another training. And that was so much fun, I got another training. And I spent time and money on training, which there's nothing wrong with those trainings. But what I didn't realize at the time was if I'd spent my time and money on business building and hired somebody earlier, I eventually did. It took me probably like a year, I think, or so before I got, oh, that's why my business isn't sustainable. I keep getting training and not building the business structures. So think about that. If you're a coach in training, or maybe you've been in business a while, if you keep being attracted to just keep on enhancing the training you have as a coach, again, nothing wrong with that. I think it's wonderful when coaches get trained in other modalities. I'm trained as a relationship coach. I'm trained as an ordained minister. I went to something called Spirit School and learned how to read souls. I've been through more than one business development training program designed to help me teach what I now teach. So I love all of that. But if you're a coach in training, you want to notice the arc, study your training, get good at coaching, pick out some other trainings you would like to have, but put them in the proper place, like maybe once a year, and begin instead with the startup mode, which is where you're devoting time, energy, money to the building of the business pieces, learning about marketing and sales if you don't know about it, learning about how it works for you as a coach, having a niche, getting a message, learning what kind of marketing actually works for you, experimenting, giving yourself time to do that experimenting piece where you're finding out who are your ideal clients, what do you most want to help people with. And there's a whole piece on sales in startup. You will learn because the main goal in startup phase is to get your marketing to a place that you have sales calls, which are consultations, sample sessions. What do they call them? Like chemistry sessions. That's where you're talking one-on-one to people who are interested in finding out about your business. That's a sales call for a coach. Sales can also be you're in front of a room. That's a marketing. You get in front of people. You're at a networking group. You do some speaking. You find places that they want a coach to come in and do an inspiring talk. And then you engage with people. You get their contact information or you hand out a sign-up sheet so that they will connect with you one-on-one and have that consultation sample session so that you can, if they're a good fit for you, enroll them in being your client or purchasing something from you as a coach. Okay? Just take that piece in. That's all startup. You're building a website. You're out on social media. Your message is getting clearer and clearer, and more people are coming your way. You're starting to get traction. And then a moment comes when you realize, oh, I'm doing things, and they're bringing people to me, and I'm having those sales calls, and I'm getting new business every week, every month. There was a time in my business where this is how I measured my success, was that I had a sales call every week, one sales call a week. And then I remember getting to a place of 2 sales calls a week. That's when I knew, okay, I'm hitting sustainable success, because now I know what to do. I had a networking group. It was my own networking group. I had 2 or 3 places that I could regularly go talk and do a workshop. I had a blog that I sent out regularly. And I had in that blog at times a marketing message that led to sales. Okay, so then you're in sustainable success. Once you get there, celebrate and know that now it's time to put down roots. Now you can scale. Now you can do more of the group coaching you might want to do. I'm doing a thing here with my hands. This is the really fun part. You can start doing the podcast. You can start, really engaging on social media and knowing that time and attention you give it is going to pay off, because you have the marketing and sales systems already in place. You already have how people schedule with you and how they buy from you and how they pay you. And you've organized all of those pieces so that now some of the dreams you might have had back in coach and training can become a reality. Yeah, you're posting on social media. People are noticing it and you're connecting with them and they're coming on sales calls with you. And you're, as I said, you're doing those regular talks. You found a networking group perhaps that you go to regularly and you're getting business from that. You found your way of getting in front of people, which is marketing, getting you and your message in front of people and connecting that to making sales. There's a freebies. This was a great discovery I had many years ago. And a sample session is a freebie, but a really good sample session freebie is where you give it a name and it connects to your niche and your message. And you actually say, you come on this call with me and here's something I'm going to help you with on this call. And we're going to talk about if you're a fit, if you would like to know more about my services. That's a real great freebie. There's so many other ways to do a freebie. You want this in your business. This is in startup. You create a freebie in startup. In sustainable success is when you really start using those freebies. You maybe have a quiz on your website, right? Those things that you see out there that other people have that you might think, oh, I wish I had. Well, in sustainable success, they will really benefit you. So it's something to look forward if you're not there yet. If you're in the sustainable success stage now, often this is where evolve your coaching business comes in, because you really want to, you're not done, right? There's still evolution happening where you'll find you want to expand something or you want to let something go. There comes a point in sustainable success where some things are not working for you anymore. You want to have that time for your creative juices to go, what is it that I really want to do? And I really encourage a slowness in sustainable success. The startup is slow, so there too, but I feel like startup takes a little more of that hustle. So I know there are messages out there, and I might even have one. It's like, if people don't like to hustle in quotes, but startup requires a more energy and more consistent, like, okay, I got to keep moving forward. And then there comes a moment, but you still want to go slowly, step by step, by step by step. In sustainable success, you want to make sure that you're getting help and support to keep moving forward and evolving yourself as well as your business. You want to make sure that you have help. So you might definitely need a VA in sustainable success. You need somebody who's working for you, with you. Maybe it's a partner. You want to have other people that you're connected to so that you can enjoy that sustainable success for as long as you want. That's the promise of sustainable success. But we have dips in business. There are pivots that you need to make. The marketplace changes, economics change, you change. So if you're in sustainable success, you really want to make sure that, is this what's working for me now? How do I take what's working for me now and grow it? You don't want to dump it, but it needs to evolve. And what does it want to evolve into? The next stage, I don't spend a lot of time talking about. It's the legacy stage, but here's some pointers on it. The warning with legacy is you don't want to do many of the legacy activities until you have sustainability, because they are, again, this is where a lot of coaching business programs, business development programs steer you astray by flashing those, oh, this will be so fun, things in front of you. A lot to do with social media. Again, things that seem like they're going to be fun, writing a book, having a big audience for your podcast. Those things take time. I know, having written 2 books, that those books have paid off for me because I already had my niche. I'm going to say the first book I wrote, The Soul Search, is a great book. It's a great book, but I hadn't really established. I was more like going from startup to sustainability with that niche. I already had a very strong niche as a relationship coach, but the book wasn't a relationship book. So what I learned with my second book was the gosh, the name of the book, and I usually have it right behind me here. Evolve Your Coaching Business book. At first, I had the niche. I already had people I was working with. I had the Soldier Success Business Academy. I was working for the Coactive Training Institute, training coaches. I had the platform. Then I wrote the book so that I could use the book it was a freebie. It's become a freebie for me to enroll people and knowing what I do and understanding it and helping them and literally having something free. Because if you join my community, you go to my website, souldrivensuccess.com, and join my community, there is a free copy, an ebook of my book, anybody who joins my community. So that's my big freebie. But in the legacy, you can do things like that. You now can have a book that's going to be really worthwhile for you. I want to land this with, so here are the 4 stages. I would encourage you to get to know your stage, to be honest with yourself about it. I'm not telling you not to go do fun things and experiment and play. If you want to write a book, write a book. But to have an accurate idea about where the activities are actually going to grow your business and where it's going to be for later, right? There's money now and money later. You might always want to be doing some things that are for down the road, but you want to make sure you have a lot of your focus on what's going to build your business now so that you continually have that financial stability and have also kind of the not just the sense, but the experience of what it's like to have a business that's really working because you deserve it. I want that for you. I want coaches to get out there in the world and do their thing. So we're going to be looking at this. This is going to be our theme for the fall. It's going to be ready, set, go. This is going to be about you getting out there and really attracting. It's a high action time. So gear up. I'm going to be encouraging you to get into action. And this is your action from today's show. Know your stage. And then I encourage you to go take a look at your activities and retool them so that they're focused on the stage that you're in, about 80%. And then that other 20% can be whatever floats your boat. All right. Thanks for joining me today. I'll talk to you next time.